Hey everyone, Jody here, sharing my lessons and struggles as I continue my journey navigating through life while healing. Only recently did I start opening up about my mental health struggles, hoping to show people they're not alone and there is no shame in seeking help. It was maybe summertime last year when I decided to start searching for a therapist. I figured I would just document the process since there's this whole stigma of going to therapy. It wasn't anything in particular that sparked my search. I just figured there's a lot of stuff I've gone through throughout the years, and having somebody professional help me process everything would probably be beneficial. But I gave up. Culturally relevant therapy is effective in healing people emotionally, and that is part of my problem. I come from a Puerto Rican household, Catholic, no one discussed mental health issues, and although my parents are Catholic by title, they aren't so invested to the extent of their immediate family who believe the power of God could help. That, in addition to the general mental health stigma among Hispanics. I'm also a military brat, and we simply did not discuss emotions at home. We were taught to suck it up and figure it out. Hell, I used to have severe panic attacks as a kid, full on screaming, and my parents had no clue what the fuck to do with me, but they never actually took me to a therapist. I guess they figured I would just grow out of it. I pretty much figured out throughout the years how to not completely lose my shit when I get hit with those terror bombs. If you've ever had a panic attack, you know it is just indescribable terror. Feels like your soul is trying to rip out of your body. It's pretty intense. I grew up with a structure that was my norm throughout my entire development, bouncing back and forth between public schools and Dodea schools on base. I figured I was picked on and didn't really fit in because I was just kind of a weird, different. If you are or were in the military or were raised a military brat, then I'm pretty sure you're familiar with this difference between our lives and the lives of civilians. War deployment aside, these differences are part of the reason for reintegration training upon leaving the service. Us brats, however, spend our entire lives through high school living this life without so much as a heads up as to why everything is so fucking stressful, or why so many people find this stoic molded personality abrasive before we pursue civilian independence. It wasn't until some assigned reading while working on my master's that I learned why I'm different. Imagine living over 3 decades feeling like you're having some type of identity crisis. The last thing I need is to be misdiagnosed because a therapist doesn't understand the lifestyle I grew up in. Because of how easy it is to be misdiagnosed, it was really important to me that my therapist be familiar with military culture. Brats who don't pursue military are kind of screwed in that we don't have access to military therapists, and trying to find a civilian one who knows the culture is like trying to find a unicorn. I could not find a single one within my health insurance network who mentioned military on their website. All right then, time to compromise. So no military. I decided to search for somebody who specialized in anxiety, and I browsed several websites and profiles, and as silly as it sounds, I was judging therapists on their profile pictures. Honestly, if you look like you're an extremely serious or judgmental person, I'm not going to feel comfortable opening up to you about things that are extremely personal to me. I had found maybe 2 or 3 that seemed kind of personable, so I left them a voicemail. A few weeks later, I tried leaving a voicemail for each of them again. It's been over a year, and still none of them have called me back. Stigma aside, I can totally understand why people give up on therapy or even getting started in the process. I mean, you have to find somebody who specializes in your needs. You have to find somebody in your insurance network if you have insurance, or within your budget if you don't. Then you have to wait for a callback, and for the places that are backlogged or limited on appointments, you have to wait for an appointment. Then you have to go in for an evaluation and see if your personalities mesh. You're not going to pour your soul to somebody you don't feel comfortable talking to. The bigger kicker is having to restart the whole process if you don't mesh with the therapist you found, and not everybody could afford that. Other challenges include finding time around work or finding someone who will actually help you identify the cause and effect of your issues and actually work with you to manage in addition to prescription if necessary, instead of just quickly prescribing a set of pills and sending you on your way. It's a funny thing having pursued a master's in psychology with military specialization with hopes of bridging that military civilian gap, but here I am struggling to find a therapist for myself. It's also funny just how many hoops one has to jump through to get into the field for such little pay unless you have a PhD. Hence the shortage of providers, the rise in mental health issues, the rise in prescriptions. The whole revolving door of patients isn't false, but it's also kind of shitty that it's to make ends meet. I do still browse the list of providers in my insurance network to see if any were added, and if I do finally find one, I'll document that process. In the meantime, I'm still here twiddling my thumbs, hoping something pops up. Just remember, you don't have to wait until you're having a full on meltdown before seeking therapy. If you have any questions, comments, or shared experiences, feel free to comment them below. Thanks for listening.